if you're up against Leo, you're going to lose.
Oh, welcome. It's Paranormal Activity. More of this very spooky franchise involving mini cams and swivel cams and, Microsoft Kinect. The Microsoft Kinect heavily involved this week on the franchise. I'm your host, the Scarenberg himself, the D-Train on the ones and the booze. And over there is Henry Papali.
That's right. In South Jersey, up to Garden State Parkway, it's Paranormal Activity. And, hey, I got one thing to say, and that is if you go up against Leo, you're going to lose. Welcome, everybody, to episode 280, 390 by regular count. And we have a very special guest this week. He's been with us for the last, I want to say, is this his fourth year
at
with
least
us? Yeah. Been on us for Halloween. Been right? Yeah. Been with us for Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah,
right.
Dream Child. I remember talking about the Dream Child with you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then last year,
Conjures.
I feel like you're right.
Yeah,
Conjures.
Those more interesting ghost possession.
I like that
films.
I like that this guest of ours, before we introduce him, has been on for our Halloween shows almost accidentally. He's never been someone I've associated with in any particularly Halloween way. It just kind of worked out as such.
It was accidental at first, but the last 2 or 3 times it's been on purpose.
Well, that is obviously correct. I was aware of that. But yeah, so it's worked out very well. I know that Halloween is very important to this fellow though now. And
are you going to introduce him? Is that what you're leading up to?
Who are we having on again? I can't remember.
You know, his name's on the screen on the Skype.
Yeah, not on mine, obviously. Jason Anthony Harris, our good friend on and off air. Welcome, buddy, to the franchise.
Hey, fellas, that's Jason Anthony Voorhees.
Oh, hey.
All of you. I'm sorry I was late. I was setting up some cameras around my house. My wife didn't want me to set up these cameras, but we had a long discussion about it. And I set them up anyway, so those are going to be rolling the whole time.
The thing you gotta understand is if you explain it to your wife long enough, she'll do it.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I've learned from the Paranormal Activity franchise.
Right. Yeah. You've been getting some disturbances in the Brooklyn area, sir. Is that what's going on there?
Yeah, I got a Wii set up. I have a Nintendo 64 and a Sega Genesis. I got those all set up in various rooms, and we'll see what happens.
Right. Hey, send us the footage, and if you get killed by said demon, we'll make sure to put on, Dan and I will put on a title card. We'll put on, thank you to the members of the Harris family.
Oh, I hope.
When they first brought in that Microsoft Kinect, I thought it was like a fake Wii. Like they wanted to use Nintendo Wii but didn't have the rights for it, so they invented a fake thing. But then I Googled it and learned it was a popular piece of machinery for a couple of years there.
I just completely heard Wii in my brain. I just thought it was a Wii. And I don't know, whatever they said, I just heard it as Wii instead.
It's the Microsoft Kinect for Xbox 360.
I never heard those words. My brain was just like, that's not a thing, and turned it into Wii.
As one of the kids in the movie says, it's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, man. Yeah.
All right.
Green screen dots. Needless to say, audience and co-hosts Jason and Dan, all of that shit was totally meaningless to yours truly while I was watching the movie. No idea what half of it was. Didn't then, don't now.
But you didn't even wonder?
No, I didn't care.
Oh, okay. You and I are different there. When I see a piece of possible product placement in a movie, I must research it.
No, I get it. That's good. I just, unless it's Yeah, I don't care.
It felt weird not saying research just now. I like changed at the last second to try to sound
I want to
normal.
get that. As you know, I want to get that word banned from the English lexicon currently. I think research has been a word that we should just not use it for a few years.
Oh, just change it to YouTube. You say YouTube instead of research.
YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube.
Listen,
Dan, did you order one of those things? Is that why you're all green dots? And is that what's going on with you, or are you not feeling?
I didn't want to say anything. I thought he might have malaria.
Yeah.
no, yeah, that's just what I look like now. I'm a leper.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's a good look.
I agree. Leprosy is becoming of me. All right. Let's talk about these two films. How about we do? Paranormal Activity 3 and Paranormal Activity 4. We're still in the realm of number titles. Next week we will reach colon central, baby.
Yeah. In more ways than one.
Oh, well, I haven't seen him. We'll find out.
I love this thing, colon central.
Yeah, me too, man. It doesn't happen often enough, to be honest. I'm irregular, gang. All right. Paranormal Activity 3. Got a new set of directors. All right. Christopher Landon is back. That fella, he worked on the last one. He's the dude from the Happy Death Days and the Freakies. Do you know this guy, Jason?
No, I haven't seen those Happy Death Days. I feel like Henry had maybe Henry had recommended them to me.
No, I haven't seen them.
I might have. I like the first one. I haven't seen the second one. I'm sort of saving it for when we possibly do it on here. Anyway,
is it a found footage thing? Or
no, not at all. All his other movies are filmed like movies.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have new directors involved, though. And boy, were they lightning rods at the time. Everyone had an opinion on these two. Henry Joost and Ariel Schellman. All right? And they, of course, came to the game with their classic documentary, Catfish.
Oh.
Yeah, Catfish, fucking great, man. I remember when that was a thing.
It was a huge deal. The word entered the lexicon instantly. It's in Webster's dictionary along with Jiggy. And, I liked the movie at the time. And it's so crazy. It's such a popular word now because it happens every day. Like, probably every second of the day, someone is being catfished.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I thought that movie was fucking great and very freaky. And that was many years before I entered into the wonderful, scurvy world of dating applications. So, yeah.
That's true. I don't even think they were on a dating app in that. Or were they just on a website, maybe? Or a chat room? I don't know.
I don't remember. Chat room sounds right. It was 2010, so I don't know.
Yeah. So these fellas, they put out that Catfish, and it was a big hit. It was a big deal. But they got a lot of accusations that it was a fake documentary. And they insisted that it was real. And then they proceeded to follow that movie up with Paranormal Activity 3, only inflaming the accusations that their previous film was a fake documentary, because they are now actually making a fake documentary.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. They've done other stuff, too. I haven't seen any of it, but I've heard of it. That fucking Viral movie is always popping up on one of my streaming services. They got the blue poster with the girl with the long tongue.
They've got a lot of generic-looking horror movies. Maybe they're good. I have no idea.
I don't know.
Wait, what do you mean by found? What do you mean by fake? Because this was footage that someone found.
Oh shit!
And now we're learning about their families and what happened to them.
Jason.
They took that footage and edited it together to tell the story of the family.
It's so wild that in Paranormal Activity 3, they find a treasure trove of VHS tapes. It's like it's like, oh my God, this franchise can run and run forever. And then the very next movie is not one of those tapes.
Jason, were you? I mean, I feel bad to be the one on air in front of the whole world to break it to you. Did you not know that these were not real documentaries?
I mean, well, if you do your own research, Henry, you'll find out that there's a lot of facts to back it up on.
Okay, all right.
If you don't go to the big corporate media and you read.
Right. You know what it is? It's just two different takes.
4chan and 8chan, you'll find out that all this is real.
You'll need to do some reading about what temperature steel melts at.
Okay, Spike.
No.
I wanted to ask you guys, because you talked a little bit about found footage stuff, which I have really done a good job of avoiding, partially because shaky cam stuff drives me fucking crazy.
Does it make you sick?
These movies, yeah, but one thing about these movies is that they have a lot of still cameras that are just sitting there, which I think helps the scene. And
what about swivel? Did the swivel bother you?
I like the swivel. I was into the swivel.
It swivels pretty slowly and smoothly, at least.
But have you seen a lot of other like found footage horror movies or movies? Like, what's your
if you watched a lot of horror movies, they were unavoidable at a certain point. Like,
I remember clicking on stuff and wanting to watch something like, oh, that sounds kind of cool, and then seeing that the first shot is found footage. I was like, no, I can't.
A couple of them are good. Like Cloverfield, I remember loving when it came out. And so that sort of opened up the possibility to me that was something I could be into. Because like Blair Witch, when it first came out, didn't really connect with me. I didn't appreciate it until a little bit later. And so Cloverfield was probably the first one that I could enjoy as a complete film and see the artistic merit in.
Yeah.
And
they're doing something interesting with that format and those restrictions, right? I mean, I haven't seen it, but that seems like,
to me, yes,
they're taking an artistic approach, right?
Right. And in the years that followed, I think because of the box office of things like Cloverfield and Paranormal Activity the very next year, so many of these were being made that there really were filmmakers experimenting with the format. And so some of them were just like boring bullshit and like you'd sit through it, and some like the bad found footage horror movies are the worst movies ever fucking made. But some of the good ones are really, really fascinating. And I personally am very, very into the current screen horror craze. I genuinely think some of those are doing interesting work that I appreciate a lot.
I think this may have opened me up to more things because I didn't really think I would enjoy them at all, and I did end up enjoying the first one. I mean, I have problems with it, but not enough to not skip the second one, which is what I did do.
Oh.
I skipped them. But I enjoyed 3 and 4 more than I thought that I would, and they are allowed to do some things in the films that you couldn't otherwise do if you had a normal film crew setup,
Yeah, but there's also so many restrictions. Like, there are things that you can only do in this format, but there's way more things that are impossible to do in this format.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I don't know that I ever even realized that until watching Paranormal Activity 3 and 4, and just like, especially 4, and just the lack of any movement, just the lack of anything compelling that was happening at certain points.
Yeah. So you did skip 2, Jason?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I'm sure I'm fine.
I mean, 4 is kind of a direct sequel to 2.
I mean,
I did that.
You what?
Listen to your podcast episode about it.
Hey,
I actually had that thought. I was like, I bet you $1 million he's gonna skip 2, but he'll listen to the show, and we probably filled him in enough on that. But if I respond real quick to your question earlier, I fucking love found footage films.
Yeah, you like them way more than I do, actually.
I do. Dan is absolutely right that when they're bad, they are insufferable. But I've found a lot of them to be really, really good, especially ones that are like even overseas. Like they got some really cool shit. You can find like European or that kind of stuff, and I think it's just
Those
completely.
Can you name a couple off?
Henry?
What?
Yeah,
They're actual smut tapes you're watching.
Yeah. Where are you finding those on the hub?
I mean, I don't like to talk about where I find movies. I think that's not relevant. I think it's
just a broad term.
Yeah, it's abroad. As I said, it was abroad.
Great.
Yeah. To name a couple, well, right off the top of my head, there's a great little, I think it's Irish one called The Borderlands, and that goes into sort of Lovecraft territory, and that's one of my favorite ones that I've ever seen, and that one really does some cool shit with the found footage genre. There's fucking fuck. I wish.
All right, think about it.
Yeah, I have so many, and it's like, of course, like right now on the spot, I'm dying, but like I got a million of them.
Come back with some next week if you can.
I will. Actually, it's a good idea because that'll. We don't have a lot to talk about next week because we're only
doing 3 movies. Yeah.
But we don't have a guest, so I'm making a note right now. Henry's fave found foot.
Henry, can you just let me know right now, what is your favorite found foot?
The foot vagina dildo that's in Mr. In Between that his friend Gary fucks because he has a foot fetish, so he fucks a...
Is this a real reference to something?
Yes, yeah, in that Australian show that I told you I love so much, Mr. In Between.
Sure. All right, all the Aussies are losing it right now.
His friend Gary takes out a rubber foot with a vagina on it, and his friend sees it, and he goes like, "What the fuck is this?" He's like, "I'll fuck it. I'll fuck it."
I'll fuck it. That's basically your philosophy, Henry.
I'll fuck it.
Yeah.
I don't. Flip the mirror on that switch. All right.
Fair enough. All right. So these fellas, they make a Paranormal Activity movie. They also made this movie Project Power last year. I think it was like on Netflix.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
All right. I thought maybe one of you might have seen it.
No.
Guess not. This film was released October 21st. 2011. They just released them year after year, There was this whole thing at the time. It started with Saw, where in the 80s, there were these horror movies where they would churn them out year after year. And then, like, the studio started getting so careful with horror movies and they started getting less and less interest at the box office that they really slowed down the pace of them. And I remember when Saw first came out, there was this real push in Hollywood that we're going to do a Saw every year. It's going to be like the 80s, like a throwback. So, like, people know when they get to Halloween, there's going to be a Saw waiting for them. And so they kept that going for a long time, but, like, Saw was on its last legs. So for this studio, Paranormal Activity came at exactly the right time because it was like, we can't keep producing these fucking Saw movies. Nobody gives a shit anymore. We've done them like 7 years in a row.
And these are so cheap to make.
Yeah. And they don't have to be good.
No.
And they can also be even cheaper. I mean, when you look at the quality from 1 through 4, I mean, besides some of the sets, I was a little surprised that they sunk even a few million into some of these.
$5 million was the price of both of these movies, and I think spending $10 million on 2 Paranormal Activity movies, you're not getting the bang for your buck you deserve.
I mean, not counting the fucking, recut ending of the first one. I mean, that movie was made for 15 thou. I mean, why are we upping it? I know why we're upping it, but I mean, still, it's what the fuck did I didn't see much Not much, improvement.
I think you had it right, man. They need to get this Israeli fella back on the franchise.
Of course, I agree, 100%, man. It was his little vision there, and he did it, and it's like we kicked him to the curb, like right after the first one, man. It's fucked up.
You watch the new
aren't
Curb?
the new directors Palestinian guys? It was a little.
It's a two-state solution in the paranormal activity world.
Wait, what? Oh, I get it. I'm sorry. Henry.
Wow.
On a budget of $5 million, has made $207 million at the box office. What a hit it was.
Wow.
Came in at number 26 at the box office, right under Hop, which is a bunny movie that we covered on We Love Kids Movies for Easter last year, so don't even worry about that. Check out that classic episode. And yep, and then slightly over Just Go With It, which is an Adam Sandler, Jennifer Aniston film. And if you want to hear more about Adam Sandler, you can listen to this week's upcoming We Love Kids Movies about Hubie Halloween that we're doing for Halloween for the second year in a row. And everybody out there, patreon.com/thefranchise. You're missing out on a lot of great episodes.
There's 27,000 shows Dan does on the Patreon. You can log on to see any day of the week. There's a new show on the Patreon, except any of ours, which are late every month.
No, we were late one time, Henry. Don't even.
I know. I feel like we might be late this month too, but that's an off-air conversation.
We'll see what happens. Oh yeah, you're right. It's like the end of the month, isn't it?
I know.
All right, H-Dog and Jason Anthony Harris. Jason, we didn't even talk about public speaking.
Yeah, who are you? Let's get some plugs right in the beginning. By the way, do I need any themes?
No one liked these movies.
For these?
So, no, you'll do plugs later, but just, we didn't even set up. Jason Anthony Harris here is fucking public speaking, one of the great New York indie performers in the state. All right?
That's right. You go out of the state, though. I can't.
Well, there's no New York indie performers out there.
I saw him in Baltimore once. Bloop, bad show. You can't make it out of New York. He's like Superman outside of out of Earth. Just can't function.
Listen, when Jason's in Baltimore, he's one of the best Baltimore indie stars. All right.
I was going on the literal interpretation of your own joke, Dan. Did you sleep all right, Dan? You're missing Palestinian jokes. You're missing Israeli jokes. He's tired.
I gotta be honest, I did not sleep well last night, and I worked until about 20 minutes before this podcast.
That's true. Yeah, that's right. No. I've actually seen Jason perform in 3 different states. I've seen him in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Baltimore, Maryland, and then New York, and Brooklyn, New York. Those are 2 different states, obviously, Manhattan and Brooklyn. That's pretty cool.
I've seen him perform in 3 different states as well.
States of mind?
Drunk, sober, and...
Coked up?
Yeah, probably. You seem that way. You're an artist that someone might guess is coked up, but you're not. Just because of your jerkiness on stage.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm part of the sober club, so yeah. Not
you
anymore.
are, yeah. All 3 of us. How about that? What an example we're setting for listeners of 2-Bit Movie Podcasts.
Fitbit.
Nice, bro. All right, so Paranormal Activity 3 brings us to Carlsbad, California, 2005. But it's just shit from the last movie. It's a previously on Paranormal Activity, and we get the Paranormal Activity 2, the opening of that movie. All right? And then that takes us back to Sept 3, 1988. All right? And they've got, The whole conceit of this movie annoyed me. I'll just stop right here and talk about it.
Oh, interesting.
Because we're using a box of videotapes that they found from like the 80s or whatever.
From my 32nd birthday party that you gave me?
Yeah, I know. I thought about that. It looks like that. That was your 32nd birthday party?
Yes.
And I'm fucking 35 now. I used to rip on you like at that age for being old.
Right. You know, you were ripping on me when I was 29, bro, so whatever, man.
Do you have a young friend around to rip on you now, Dan, for being old?
I've got Logan, who is my co-host on Comp Beasts, patreon.com/the franchise. All right.
They do a show about cuisine called Who's Chicken?
No, that's not true. But I did when I was in college. I had a food column called Eating Out with Dan.
Of course you did. It was called Eating Out with Dan.
Yeah, in the newspaper.
I can't. Oh boy! All right,
that was good stuff.
Great.
All right, so so we're in 1988 with these videotapes. When we first cut back, it's like it's shaking, like the tracking's not quite right or whatever. And then for the rest of the movie, the quality of these videotapes is fucking immaculate. It is HD Central, baby. Yeah. This shit is plasma.
That is really funny, dude.
It's pure 2011. Yeah.
Yeah, that never occurred to me after those tracking issues. That's really funny.
It's one of the things you have to suspend your disbelief about.
But it would have been... I feel like people would have gotten used to that if like the picture was just like a little bit muddy to make it more realistic. Yeah.
Muddy would have been fine. Muddy would have been totally fine. Although the tracking issue, I don't think that would have flown.
No, you can't do that for like the whole fucking thing. But just like once every so often, you can do things with that. It's interesting.
You're actually right. There could be many things you could do with the monster VHS camcorders. Yeah, as I'm sure we all owned, our families owned.
No, my family was too poor for that. We didn't get a camcorder until later. Like, I insisted when... I think I thought I was going to be Spielberg. Like, I was getting into movies, and I read that, like, Spielberg filmed little movies when he was a kid that won Amblin, which became, like, the name of his production company. And I thought I was going to do that. And then you go back and watch those tapes, it's just me fucking around with the zoom lens.
Yeah, of course. Those things are horrible to watch. I've seen some of me shooting like family stuff, and they're fucking horrendous. Yeah, and they're not fun to shoot.
No, they were fun to shoot at the time. I like doing it, but
when you're little, when you're a little guy, yeah.
Well, I was a little guy. We're all little guys.
Yeah,
roughly 50% of us are little guys when we start out.
Once we cut to the family from the 80s, you do feel like you're watching a whole movie. I mean, because you kind of are.
Yeah,
party and all that shit. I was immediately very, very bored, but it worked. But I was just like, oh god. I mean, it's really hard. It's insufferable to watch those movies anyway. You know, home movies.
Yeah.
Or where they go into it's like the birthday party and all that.
Yeah. I was just distracted thinking about that cartoon Home Movies. That was a good show.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, so what even fucking happens? It's like their parents, right? The girls from the first two movies. What, Katie? Is that her name? The one you're obsessed with?
Katie and Christy. I'm not obsessed with anybody.
You are. I was watching her in that fourth fucking movie. All I could think about was how horny Henry was watching. But in this third movie, she's a kid, you know. So don't worry about it.
I got a new crush. You know how I say I get crushes? You said I got crushes. Forget Katie Featherston. I like the mom in Paranormal Activity 3.
In 3? All right, that's a little more acceptable. I was gonna lose my fucking mind if you were into the one from 4.
No, 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 no. No, the third one, that's an '80s mom. She's just doing
Hey,
great.
Henry, speaking of women you've had crushes on, I heard this week someone got engaged. Teresa Giudice. Does that upset you at all?
Oh man, that's a heartbreaker, heartbreaker, homemaker, ginger baker.
Another one got away, Henry.
Yeah, that's another one, man. Just add it to the list, bro.
Yeah, her barking.
Barking, barking up the wrong Jadiche. Yeah.
All right, so it's right. They're kids. What are their names? Katie and what?
Christy.
Thank you. And you didn't even watch the second one, so I have no excuse. All right, I learned about her for 90 minutes.
In fairness, I had to so I could get the fucking kids right. I had to go back to Wiki and be like, wait, which one is which in relation to who they are as adults? I had to figure out okay, so Katie is, you know what I mean?
Well, I'll tell you the most confusing thing about that is that in the first movie we're led to believe that Katie is the one who's primarily being haunted or whatever. But in this movie, it seems to me that Toby the ghost is way more interested in, what's her name, Chloe?
Christy.
Fucking hell.
All right, no. That is explained. In the first movie, when Katie is telling Micah about, her extensive experience with ectoplasmic entities, she says we had something in our childhood, but it used to stand by Christy's bed all the time. It was more obsessed with Christy, my sister, than me.
I believe it was the reverse.
No, it was not, because it is fully further explained in the second movie that it was indeed obsessed with Christy because Christy got pregnant and then the husband transferred all this shit on to Katie. So
I
Katie
believe there
fine.
may have been some sort of rewriting going on. All right?
Well, I didn't have to think too hard about it. It was just, that's what he said. That's a key scene because Micah's like, well, if it was your sister, why is it bothering you?
In the first one, thank you, Mika. In the first one, don't they make it a point that it stands at Katie's bed, but Christy can see it?
You mean when she's explaining to Mika?
Yes. She's saying that it used to stand over my bed and look at me, but my sister was next to me and she could see it too.
Okay,
that
fair enough.
Familiar.
Either way, it's Christy's demon.
I think that's bullshit. I think that's a retcon. Then why wasn't the first fucking movie about Christy? It seems to me that Christy's the most important character in this franchise. We weren't even introduced to her until the second movie.
I guess when they decided to make it into a big 1, 2, 3, 4 punch, they had to change some stuff. Which one is it, Katie or Christy? Katie, get over here.
I like this guy.
Get over here. Anyway, so I don't know. I think that's how they explain the bullshit away, and so it's obsessed with the one that it knows is going to get eventually pregnant, and that's why Christy's the one dealing with it. And I didn't really think too much about it. I mean, I think they did an okay job of explaining who the demon is obsessed with, Fat Toby.
Well, maybe that's because you didn't think too much about it. What, are you referencing my Letterboxd review?
Yeah.
Listen.
Yet again, throwing too many compliments your way. I'm waiting for a few of my own over here.
I compliment you constantly, Henry. You're not You're not in the Discord. If you were in the Discord, you'd know. That's all I do in there. Compliment Henry.
Real life, podcast on air,
I think it would be a good Patreon perk, Henry, if you got in there 1 hour every month and talk to the people.
That's a lot.
I don't believe that's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah.
You can literally do it with your butthole open, shitting into a toilet. All right.
Dan's all in on this Discord, man.
Well, it's fun communicating with the listeners. Hey, if you want to get on the Discord, email me at thefranchisepod@gmail.com.
Wow.
I don't know what's up with me today. All right.
Dude, slept a profession.
Henry, so what happens next in this film?
So we get introduced to two cute little girls, and some weird shit starts happening. I think the first thing we see is Christy, who's the littler one, talking to this thing underneath a trampoline, as I recall, at a birthday party. That's a little creep moment because they just pan away. I think some of the cuts in this movie are pretty decent. And I think I like the idea of I thought it was off-putting in a good way when you find out that they're the guy around them. I think they call him Dennis, I think his name is. That you find out it's not their dad, so they never are able to call anyone dad. So they're always like, it's mom and then Dennis. And I always thought that was just a nice little weird touch. One thing I will say right off the bat that is not explained, Daniel and Jason, that the first movie severely fucks up and the second movie continues to fuck up. And since we're already into now 5, 6, and 7, I think we're finished. We're just letting it go. There's no fire in either of these movies.
Right.
Never happened.
It was supposed to be a fire.
Wait, when was the fire? It happened.
Should have happened in Paranormal Activity 3. That's when that fire should have happened because that's when their family.
Oh, well, Henry, I do believe that we get a pretty severe cut at the end of this movie. It could conceivably be read that the fire happens following this.
It could conceivably be read that way, but for all this fire talk, I kept thinking, well, I thought that's how it would have something to do with the parents' demise, and we never see anything. I can never say demise after Jaws. I can never do it. But anyway, it was just a little odd to me. But I don't know. So these girls meet the fat Toby, and he's a scary little ghost, and
I just think you can't name it. This is the crux of your whole franchise, right? Like, this is your demon, right? Think of it. We're putting out one of these a year. This is the Toby franchise, right? Like Nightmare on Elm Street, those are the Freddy movies, and Friday the 13th is the Jason movies, right? And there's the Chucky movies, and even the Saw movies or Jigsaw movies at a certain point, and we're going with Toby as the name of the main demon in this fucking franchise.
I had to ask you both this. I'm glad I didn't forget. What's the name of the ghost in The Shining that Danny talks to, Danny Torrance, all the time?
No clue.
Who cares?
I don't think he has a name.
It's Toby.
It's Toby?
I think it is.
Well, if it is, there's a reason nobody remembers that. There's a reason we've blocked that part of that movie out of our brains.
I remembered it.
And there's a little Shining nod in the fourth one, too, with the kid and the little little three-wheel thing he's riding around.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's possible.
I'm looking into it right now. I can't.
I don't think
I just want to know why are little kids so creepy? None of us have kids, okay?
Nor will I ever.
Not all kids are creepy. Not all kids are creepy. Let's
feel like
be
they
honest,
are.
dude. They're
On
not.
On some level, they all seem a little creepy to me. I mean,
like
I was with my nephew the other day, who I love, but we were all carving pumpkins, and he said, "I love murder," and I was like, "Think that." coming out of your little face because it makes it scarier than if any of us adults just happen to say the same thing.
I've got two nieces. None of them have ever talked about murder around me. All right? They've never creeped me out. They've been delightful, precious little nubbins for 4.5 years. All right?
So, guy.
If they came walking into your room in the middle of the night,
wouldn't creep me out whatsoever. No. I'd be into it. Listen, but there are creepy kids in movies, and clearly these movies are going for like the creepy kid pantheon, right? I think specifically with the fourth one. I think they really thought they had something with that Robbie kid.
Yeah, they did.
And I'm here to tell them they're not right. That kid is not creepy kid pantheon. You're telling me that's a Damien? You're telling me that's an Esther? Something's wrong with Esther.
Yeah.
All right. No, I mean, although spoilers for Orphan, maybe it's not a kid.
There's this weird confluence that happens with cute and creepy that they try to meet, like especially with the little girls, where there's like they're really cute, but like sometimes they do things, and sometimes their face is just the right way that it verges on creepy.
You're absolutely right. I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, Robbie he's not creepy enough. He's just like basically what the teenage daughter calls him, which is like our weird fucking neighbor. He's just a weirdo kid who lives next door and wears socks with sandals.
I mean, the kid is definitely unsettling a little bit.
Yeah, but I wouldn't expect him to like. I wouldn't expect him to like raise me telekinetically. I would expect him to sniff my panties.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. You wear panties, Dan? Is that something going on?
No, I just have a few left over from some conquests.
Hey, whatever floats your boat. By the way, it was Tony.
Much better, Tony. That's a strong name, like the mafia. Hey, Tony.
I think it's important to point out, because I know we have listeners who would definitely know right away what I was talking about. Be like, he's wrong, shouting at their headphones, as it were, when they're listening to the show on their tram commute in London and such.
Great. You nip that in the bud.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed the moment when there's an earthquake in the film. And
that was weird.
Yeah, and the dust reveals a ghost. And that is the beginning of a bit of a downward spiral for our friend, what's the character's name? Dennis, right?
Yeah, well, see, I like that you got Dennis and Randy, right? Dennis is an out-of-work kind of freelance wedding cinematographer, and his buddy Randy, this fucking rando kid.
You are not allowed to name the comic relief in a horror movie Randy in a post-Scream world. I am so sorry.
This fucking guy.
He looked like Thomas Middleditch to me at first. I was like, Jesus Christ, is Thomas Middleditch in this? And then no, unfortunately not.
No, it's Dustin Ingram.
Were you worried he was going to finger you on the dance floor or something?
Not at all.
All right, cool.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Well, he got a minor Me Too at some point, Middleditch, right. But I think he avoided cancellation. I think he's all right. Yeah, he's still on that CBS show, Be Positive, so I think he's doing all right.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, he's probably getting a nice little paycheck for that, all right? Yeah. Chuck Lorre created that, He's the man.
Oh. So Dennis, is the new boyfriend who moves in with the woman and her daughters and sets up cameras everywhere in their house.
Yeah.
Right.
This doesn't raise many red flags to anyone. My two daughters, I get this new boyfriend. Yeah, he's really into cameras. He sits down there and watches the footage a lot.
Meanwhile, Grandma Lois comes in, and she's not concerned. Well, we do find out later she's a Satan worshiper, but she's not concerned about the cameras that the new boyfriend's installed in her granddaughter's rooms. She's much more concerned about the steady work that does not come with being a wedding photographer. That is a the new boyfriend, like any good mom, looking out for her dot. She wants the guy to have a steady income. Now, I was also waiting for another problem with this movie. I will say overall, I actually liked this movie. But another issue raised is, they leave open these things that could be very, very good windows into some more storytelling effectively, and they don't ever tell you where Julie's husband is. I mean, this is the father of these two girls who are subject to this entire ordeal, and he's nowhere to be found. They don't speak of him at all. They still haven't spoken about him as of 4, and I've seen 5 and 6, and I don't recall this coming back.
Maybe he's the titular next of kin.
Maybe. Maybe he's Toby. Maybe he died and he came back as a demon.
I'll tell you what, it's honestly a great point. There's great points happening all around right now that none of which occurred to me. We never do meet these kids' father. What the fuck is up with that? That's a weird decision. Also, it's fucking insane that this guy just moved into their house and is putting up cameras everywhere. That never occurred to me. What the fuck? And he's insistent upon it throughout the entire movie. She brings it up on many occasions, pulling him aside like, you know what? This camera thing is out of hand. We need to stop this. And on every one of those occasions, he's like, give me a few more nights. And even his friend is like, dude, there's only 24 hours in a day. You're spending 12 hours recording and then watching them? Your whole life is built around surveilling your family. And he's just like, yeah, gotta find the ghost. Mm-hmm. No problem.
He's got this incredible, charismatic, amazing, talented.
Oh my God.
Astronomically musical. She's musically talented. She's a painter, and named Julie. That's his girlfriend, and he's ignoring her. He's supposed to make a sex tape.
Nothing underdeveloped character.
Her haircut says 1,000 words.
I was interested that they made her really 80s, though. Like, they 80'd her out, teased her hair and all that.
But
not him. He just looks like fucking Thomas Hayden Church in Sideways or something.
Yeah, they really just sprinkled the 80s in here and there with some costume design, the video tapes, and not much else.
Is there any music?
The babysitter, they gave her like a little bit of an 80s look. I kind of appreciated that because now we're in the era where everything is over the top 80s, when we do these retro movies.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that it was a little more reined in, but it was definitely inconsistent.
I liked Randy trying to maybe set something up with that babysitter.
That was very funny.
Yeah.
Randy was kind of amusing, especially since he does take, like you said, Dan, he takes that kind of moment towards the middle of the movie or really towards the end when he's just like, what the fuck are we doing at this point? Like, I was into this at first, and now this whole thing is just like...
No, he's not into it at first. He has to be convinced, and then he goes along with it.
Yeah, he's real into it once he gets convinced.
Yeah. Well, of course.
Are you talking about post-Ghost, Henry?
I guess so, right? Because he has to see something first. I guess
he gets it's cut down his side and all that.
Then he's fucking out because he gets the cut.
All right.
The Bloody Mary sequence. He gets the Bloody Mary sequence, and
that's right. Randy's sort of left in charge of them at the end there.
Yeah. By the way, great fucking choice. Leave.
I think it's just the one girl, but it's still a terrible decision.
Well, right, because they're running the other one to the hospital, and
she has demon fever, and so they take her to the ER. Now, I have to say, this Julie character, despite her immense talents in the world, she's not great at making decisions about men watching her kids. Particularly which men.
Would the kids be better off with their father? We'll never know.
No, we won't. Well, Toby is a babysitter of some sort. Just leave him with Tobes.
Yeah, but he's such an overbearing guy. He's very demanding, you know. Even in the fourth one, the kid's like, you know, hey, is Toby nice? And he's like, if you do what he says. That doesn't sound fun to me. I don't want to hang out with that guy. It's such a bad name. Have you ever met a Toby that isn't like just a fat dumb shit or like a 60-pound weakling?
I've only known a couple of Tobys in my time, so
it's funny because I didn't mind the name Toby. I don't, maybe because it's like a little girl and her friend, you know, the imaginary thing. I don't know. Maybe if you told her his name's Toby, it's more childlike, friendly.
I don't think it's childlike. To me, Toby, it sounds like to me what I'm picturing is Jackie Earl Haley and Little Children. That's the ghost watching these kids. What would be the
name you would pick, though, if you were writing this, if you had input in this movie, if you were at the round table and they're like, we got to come up with a name for this fucking thing.
I don't know, fucking Mordecai or something.
His name is Mordecai. Only I can see him. His name's what, honey? Mordecai. Huh.
Ebenezer.
Well, isn't that the ship from the Matrix? What?
Honey, that movie hasn't been made yet, but I understand where it's going.
Yeah, it's 1988, remember? Wink, wink.
Yeah. His name is Marty McFly.
His name is Calvin. All right. The babysitter part I actually thought was the best part of the movie because here we're doing swivel cam, which I think is crucial to this film's success. The movie would not be as good as it is without swivel cam. It's a genuinely good innovation, a bit of a change from the first two movies. And it's janky enough to fit into the realism of that you're supposed to be getting from this franchise.
Well, and not for anything, but he jerry-rigs this thing onto a fan, and I don't know about you, but that's completely fucking believable to me. If I needed something to like rotate, any guy who doesn't have like the proper equipment to do something, be like, it'll work on this thing, you know.
What do you need to swivel?
What do you need to swivel?
Yeah, like what would you swivel if you had this device?
Besides my hips?
Oh, well, you could do that. Well,
not anymore.
Not anymore, yeah. That's fair enough.
Well, crack. Yeah, I don't know what you want to swivel. I mean, but, you know, maybe a space heater?
Oh, that's not bad. One that doesn't swivel.
Mm-hmm.
The stationary space heaters that, you know, then you put it on a fan, you chop the head off the fan, you put the space heater on there, bingo, bango, bongo.
Yeah, you got yourself a swiveling space heater.
You actually know what you'd want. If it was Christmas and you want to put a spotlight on your house, but you want it to kind of move around the house and you don't have enough money to get like you put the spotlight on a broken fan. Bingo, bango, bongo, you got a Christmas light.
Jason, next time you do a show in your guise as public speaking,
yes,
can I come with a chopped in half fan and do your lights?
Absolutely.
I think it's great.
Klieg it up. Klieg it up.
Klieg it up?
Klieg lights.
I don't know what that is.
I don't either.
All right.
Henry worked as an usher once in like the 90s.
Wait, aren't what are floodlights?
Oh, they're like spotlights, or aren't they the ones on the foot of the stage? I sound like an idiot, don't I? I don't know anything about this.
I thought Klieg lights were what they sometimes use when they shoot film. The big lights that they use on set.
I don't know the name of that.
I don't know the name of any lights.
Okay. I'm going to look it up again.
I am not now, nor have I ever been a gaffer.
But you have been a best boy, and there's no denying that.
I am the very best boy, but I have never gaffed.
Yeah, babe.
All right.
What did you guys think of the when they had the girls outside in the tent there?
Oh, wait.
Oh, you two, toddlers will hang out in the tent outside.
You had a problem
that's
with
totally
that?
fine. Isn't that fucking like unsafe? Like you're just gonna leave your little tiny daughters in the tent outdoors?
I did that as a kid.
So did I.
Yeah, but I guess it's the 80s, right?
These parents raised them right. They didn't give a shit. Yeah.
Well, parents still don't give a shit. They're not putting fucking masks on their kids' faces or anything.
No,
they're a little too young to be doing that. But I don't know.
Too young, yeah. I mean, I think that's I just took it as like kind of probably what Dan did. It's like I fucking did that shit in the 80s, and we had a backyard, so like I was safe nominally. But it is they are very little. I mean, I don't know how old the little one is. I think she's like. They say she's 6 or something. Mm-hmm. I don't know I have no idea how much older the other one is, but I mean,
I don't know. I thought the parents were being little assholes, making them go inside. I thought they should have stayed out there. They would have been fine. What's the worst that could happen? Fucking Toby comes by.
Doesn't go outside, Toby, does he? Does Toby go outside? Have we ever seen Toby leave a house or domicile of any kind?
No, I mean that was Toby. Is that, I mean, when Katie's possessed and takes a hold of Hunter, right? That's Toby in some form.
So, yeah, he's like walking. So Toby
seems to go from house to house. I don't know that he's outside ever. Right. He might just transfer in his own sort of system.
Yeah, but he can walk or float, but he can't perform any horrific acts in the outdoors. I think that might be his limitation. By the way, I was right, and
scene. He wants to know there's some cameras around. He's going to put on a little show.
I think you're right. Klieg light is the electric lamp used in filming. Klieg light.
Henry got something right. Going back to the babysitter scene, I wanted to talk about the best scare in the film. What? He's still congratulating himself over there. In my opinion, the best scare in the movie is the sheet, the little sheet behind the babysitter, and it collapses. All right, now
that's good.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan of sheet ghosts. I love it. I love Beetlejuice when Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin are sheet ghosts. R.I.P. Alec Baldwin's life, and I love it. The Ghost Story, A Ghost Story by David Lowery. That's a great.
Yeah. The walker on a sheet.
It made me think of Halloween, and where Michael Myers puts the sheet on
another
himself.
Classic, and he puts that horny boy's glasses over his face. I love it. Michael Myers has such a lovely sense of humor in that.
I mean, what a just a great guy. Really,
See anything you like?
O'Rourke. PJ O'Rourke. Wait, is that her name?
No, it's not. It's PJ Souls, brother.
PJ O'Rourke is a white American writer / boring humorist. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, boring humorist. I love boring humorists.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
That is the best moment. See, at first I got nervous. I thought you were going to say the sheet getting like pulled off the girl in bed, but I was like, we've seen that shit already. Like that didn't get me. I will say, like I said in the first episode of our coverage with Aaron, that I watched these kind of in a row, 2, 3, 4. They were all like on. I saw them on a row at the same time, and this does suffer from the same thing I said in the first episode of our coverage as the first movie, where I think one time is the time to watch it. I've seen this now for the second time, and everything I remember about it being like one of the best, and actually I do in our coverage so far, I do think it's 1 and then 3, but
I actually agree with that. I would rank them. Well, we won't, but right. Yeah, those are the 2 best to me.
Yeah. But I think that the scares became lessened because of that. But having said that, I completely had forgotten about the sheet thing in the kitchen with the babysitter, and that's fucking great. That's really, really good.
I forgot that too, and that was a little spike of interest for me. But I gotta say, I could not agree more. These do not have an ounce of rewatchability in them.
Yeah, it's sad. It's weird.
The first,
and this was a rewatch for both of you?
Yeah, I'd seen the first 3.
Okay, yeah, this was the first time for me, and I enjoyed this one a lot, maybe even more than the first. And yeah, I had the same thought, which was like, I'm never gonna watch this again. This works the way it works.
But I don't know. There's something about it. Like, it felt to me that these could be a good rewatch because the mythology, like, you know how they came out sort of out of order chronologically. So I was like, it would be interesting to rewatch it with the knowledge you accrue, like, down the line. But going back and watching them as it stands, like, these first 3 movies were deadly boring to me this time around. Like, to the point where I was I fell asleep on the third one and woke up, the movie was over. Like, I was so just not interested.
I think the characters also just aren't, like, charismatic or interesting enough. They're too mundane for you to have that rewatchability, like, oh, I want to see Katie again.
Well, Henry.
I think 4 really, really suffers from that. But
but here's the thing about 4 is I hadn't seen 4, and so on some level, watching 4, I'm thinking this is easily the worst of these 4 movies, but I was so much more interested in it than the first 3 just because I'd never seen it before. It was working for me. Like, I was more tense and more scared, and I was looking around more for shit on the screen, you know? And that just wasn't the case with these first 3. I was just bored.
That's really interesting because I don't, and it's an odd thing that might be unique to these particular found footage films, because I've never particularly found this with a lot of horror movies that I considered that I loved or found very entertaining. I could always watch them over and over again. And I'm glad that I got to watch these in the order of that we're doing them. But it is interesting to me because one of the things I thought that would absolutely happen for me, having seen all of them, was that it would be exactly as scary as it was the first time, or at least exactly as tense. And I thought the first and second one and parts of the third one definitely were tense, but you also see on reviewings, you also see the glaring banality of a lot of the stories and shots.
You know what else you see? The strings. Like, I'm just watching the movie going like, yeah, right, you put beads in this room because those will, like, move around a little bit. That adds something to the scene. Or you'll have, like, an air purifier here, like, spitting out, like, so that sort of obscures that. Then that makes that corner of the room more mysterious somehow. Like, I'm just watching it, like, learning the director's tricks. And in a movie that's reliant on you being invested enough in the storyline to believe it's real, that really isn't a good thing.
Yeah, and the film really relies on your alertness, you know, your attentiveness.
Yeah.
So getting that same level of attentiveness on a repeat viewing is just, it seems almost impossible.
It was impossible
with these films, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, the only one I was actively bored in, though, I will confess, actively bored, was the fourth one.
Well, let's get to it. Number 3, what are your ratings, fellas?
Jason, you're the guest. Do you want to go?
I'm going to go 3 stars. If it were Letterboxd, I'd probably do 3.5 stars. But
just to fucking piss me off?
Yep, just to make Dan angry. I would do 3.5, but I'm gonna go 3. We're on the franchise here. It's a 3-star movie.
Listen, I reject. That makes me so angry to hear you say that, Jason.
I need nuance. I need a little more just so that I look back and I know that, okay, this movie's not a 2. It's not a 3, but, some other movie. But it's like, it's a 2.5. I enjoyed it, but it's got a lot of problems. I don't know. I've got my own little scale inside my head that I try to be consistent with.
Have a little courage.
Well, I feel your pain a little bit there, bro, because I for a lot of this movie I was thinking I'm enjoying this in certain aspects at least as much as I am the first movie. So I almost went 4, but I didn't at the end. I'm going 3 stars. It's a 3-star movie. I think it's a very good 3-star movie. It doesn't come with my usual, Dan knows this. Not all the time, but sometimes when I go 3, for me, that's not a ringing endorsement. But it is for me on this. I'd say 3 stars, go watch it. I'm not going to say 3 stars, blah. I think it's a good 3-star movie.
I know what you mean. I had this as a 4 on Letterboxd also before watching it for the podcast, and I'm dropping down to a 3.
Wow, 3s across the board. First agreement on
That's
the
so
Paranormal
funny
Activity.
that the first one was so wildly divergent. Now we're all just fucking 3, whatever.
As was the second one, I believe, because sort of divergent. Yeah, not Shayna Woodley divergent.
Not Insurgent. It's Shailene Woodley. Shayna Woodley.
Not Shania Twain Woodley.
Henry's like at the kind of old age where like you have to just give him credit for getting the name sort of right. Like if my dad ever said Shayna Woodley, I'd give him that.
Here's what Dan and me are gonna be like. So when I'm 70 in some fantasy universe where I live that long,
Next year.
and Dan is 62. I'm still gonna be the old guy.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
I'm
you're right.
100. Yeah, I'll be 100. He'll be 92. He'll be making old jokes at me in his walker.
The best thing about that too is I'm totally gonna be like the one with dementia. Henry's gonna be like the sharpest 100-year-old, and I'm just gonna be calling him old.
And Jason, you're actually what? You're in between us, right? You're 1981, 1982.
81. Look at you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm good with that shit with my friends. You know that.
You're okay with him just revealing your age right there on the podcast like that?
I'm not at all embarrassed about it.
Great to hear.
He turned 40 this year, bro. That's big.
It is big. It's kind of big, Jason. Admit that.
I don't think
I didn't expect to live this long, so it's kind of like a nice afterlife, a little bonus in a way,
What did you think? You think you were part of the 27 Club growing up?
No, not at all. But I didn't think, I thought maybe like 30 or early 30s, like I'd be out.
Yeah. Can't say I didn't have this.
We all felt that way on this podcast.
Maybe it's the reason we're all sober now.
Yeah, well, that actually is a really great point. Has a lot to do with it. Dog, who's your MVP of this one?
I don't know, man.
Fucking hell.
No. Just because I think somebody's one of the best actresses of that decade doesn't mean that she's necessarily. No, I gotta say, kids. By the way, we didn't even talk about the best. I just really quickly want to say the best sequence in the entire movie for me. We talked about the best scare. The best sequence is that final 15 minutes in that grandma house. That's really well done.
Yeah, I actually fully agree. And over the years, like with like distance from watching these movies, whenever anybody has brought up the Paranormal Activity movies, the first thing I think of are the 2 images. The one of him looking outside and seeing them like all around the coven or whatever. Yeah, and then the one where he like opens that door and she's like standing there and fucking chases after him.
No, it's fucking terrible, and it's also very, very disturbing because like you learn that the grandmother like basically she kills her own daughter.
Yeah.
Hey, did anyone else think about how this is like a proto Hereditary?
Yeah.
I was thinking about that a lot with the witch's coven and the grandmother and the possessing the child and all that shit.
Wow. Proto-hereditary. Sure, grandma, grandkid, mom's
some real parallels in the movie.
You're right. Katie is, that kid with the mole from that Shyamalan movie, and Christy.
He's a little weird-looking kid who got decapitated.
Yeah, that little weird-looking kid who's like a thought on Instagram now.
Aw, hey. She's on Broadway.
What?
Yeah.
She's on Broadway, I think.
That could no, I don't believe so.
That's how they found her. That's how she got started.
She's like
on Broadway still?
Look up her Instagram. It is wild stuff, gang.
Oh.
Well, it ain't hereditary.
Is it just the head on Broadway? Around the stage.
She plays fucking Audrey in Little Shop of Horrors. Henry, all right. So is your MVP that lady?
Well, no, just hear me out. I think both the girls are good, and I actually like Dennis. I think he's good, too. I think he's a good lead for this. I want to give it to Julie, but she's just not in the movie enough. And she is basically, like Dan said, not much of a character. I mean, she's good at trying to make something of nothing. But I actually do like Dennis. So I'm going to give it to him. I think he's a good male lead for this. I think he's fine. I think he's like a good sort of, besides the 24-hour surveillance of the daughters, I think he's kind of like a cool boyfriend figure, dad figure. I think that's pretty well done.
I was actually also going to go with Dennis. I think he has good chemistry with both of the daughter actresses. Yes. And he's good in the scenes with Randy. And the fact that I went the whole movie twice without ever thinking he was creepy for putting up all that fucking surveillance. Like, there's got to be something to that, like some likability factor to that performance.
Yeah.
Jason, MVP?
My MVP is the little girl, Christy. I thought she did a really good job of being cute, but also being creepy and scary. And I don't know. I was really into it.
The little girl.
The little one.
And she hasn't really had a career.
Oh, no?
Yeah, she's really just Christy in a few of these movies.
Yeah, well, I don't know if she grew into a real actress or anything, but as a child actress in a found footage horror movie, sure. I thought she did a great job.
Yeah, the other one did grow up into an actress though, and
that's Katie.
She's also good to look at on Instagram.
Chloe Century.
Yeah, sure. Chloe cisgender.
She is Dan's favorite show, Parenthood.
Is she? I love that show. That is one of my favorite shows.
LVP, everybody.
Yeah. Oh, right. Go. You do yours.
Oh, I went first. I went second last time.
All right, my LVP. I'll go with. I was straight up. I mean, I feel bad now. This wasn't. This wasn't directed at you, Henry, but I was going to go with the mom.
Okay. All right. I won't tell her so when we hang up.
Okay, great. Henry, I wish you the best with that. I hope that you do end up with that lady. All right.
And bitch. She's my age, and her birthday's the day after mine. We could have the same birthday
That
parties.
could be your opening. Is that a good opener? Go up to a girl. We have the same birthday. How do you know my birthday?
Yeah, how do you know my birthday? Go to a Comic-Con. She'll have a little table. She's signing stuff. And,
she probably will, honestly. Like, she's probably at, like, Fangoria convention signing fucking Paranormal Activity DVDs.
Yeah. Yeah, doing
we might be able to get her on the fucking show.
Yeah, any of these actors, I think we could get on the show.
Why don't we try it? Why don't we do that? I know why we don't. Laziness and not actually wanting to talk to these people.
That's a big part of it too. Scheduling.
Yeah, It was difficult to even schedule with public speaking over here, and he's our friend. So
little scheduling conflictione. LVP for Dan. Okay, fair enough. It's Julie.
Jason.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Jason. Yeah.
Mine, and I feel bad saying this now because that scene is so great, but I thought everybody else was fine, but the grandmother was just, I felt like it could have been stronger. It was just adequate. And if you put like somebody with just a little more chops or presence in that role, I feel like you could have really had something.
I'm going to agree with you, and she's going to be my LVP, and I'll tell you why. I agree with everything, your reasons, plus I'll add this. I'm glad that they didn't reveal any suspicious activity of her initially, but we could have used something. We got nothing. So if she was more of a developed character and it came as a shock at the end, it would be a massive shocker, but we don't even know this person. So when she becomes the evil person, it's like, oh, so innocent grandma who's basically been in one scene is the big devil? Okay. Yeah. Like, it's nobody you're invested in at all.
I think she's a good enough visual.
Yeah.
That to me, like, that's all that matters. Is like the shot of her when he opens the door at the end and she's there. That's scary. She's a scary looking, creepy old lady. Seems fucking disgusting. I don't want any part of her.
She went in to do her read, and they were like, "Wait, stop there."
Yeah,
it's just scary and creepy enough looking. Don't even bother fucking.
I don't even think they turned the light on in the audition room. They just had night vision camera on the door. They had these old ladies walk in, and the second the door opened, they were like, well, "That scared me. I want you."
It's not like the casting call in the new Curb Your Enthusiasm episode.
Oh my God, Maria Estrada.
I haven't seen it yet. The new one's out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe Sunday night premiere. Oh God.
Yeah, I like to call that episode "Ups and Downs."
You're not wrong, but some of the ups are pretty fucking.
Yeah. The highs are high. And Albert Brooks is in it. I can never complain about seeing Albert Brooks.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the second or the third one. Sorry. Now let's talk about Paranormal Activity 4. By this point, I didn't care anymore. I wasn't seeing these fucking things. We've got the same team. All right, everyone's back. Landon's writing, and you got these Juiced and Schulman fellas directing. It came out October 19th, 2012. October 19th was my childhood best friend's birthday. I still remember that. I haven't talked to him in years. I don't give a shit about him, but that date is in my brain.
Oh, that's a good friend.
Yeah, right. Budget $5 million again. We get a BO, not so boffo this time, gang. It's down to 142.8. And at the American box office, it has slipped to number 62. Right between two other horror movies, The Woman in Black and The Devil Inside. Woman in Black was a Daniel Radcliffe horror movie. What was The Devil Inside?
Right. I think I saw The Devil Inside.
I'm sure you did.
Do you have a picture of that up? Are you on Letterboxd?
I'm looking it up right now.
It's a Billy Idol song, right?
Is it?
In Excess. In Excess.
That's what it is.
Great song by In Excess. Yeah.
It's a kid. Here's the cover. It's a kid doing this, pulling his lip down, and then on his lip is an upside down cross.
I'm gonna go ahead and say
you haven't seen it. You haven't seen it, but many of our listeners have seen it, and all of them gave it 1 star.
Yes. I did not see that movie. I do not think.
God, that looks like trash. Dude, if this movie was making about as much as that movie, what the fuck? Like, they must have been disappointed.
I did not see that movie. Yeah. Wow. Okay, well. So one point of interest here that's interesting. You, Dan, you saw these, it seems, the first 3 movies, you saw them as they came out or recently after their release on DVD?
I never saw Paranormal Activity in theater. I would wait till they came out on DVD, and I would watch them immediately when they came out on DVD.
That's interesting. So you were seeing them actively upon rental release because you were interested in the...
Yeah, it always felt to me like, what, I'm going to pay fucking $15 to go see this in theaters? Like, it's not really a movie. And to me, like, the first one I watched, I didn't watch the first one like right when it came out. I waited like a few months, and then I was impressed enough by it watching it at home that I was like, I think that's a good atmosphere to watch these movies.
And if you saw it in theaters, you'd be surrounded by fucking idiots too. So that's another thing.
Well, that's just true of any movie you see in theaters, or any place you go outside.
Well, as we know, I did see the first one in theaters, but I never saw another one again until I left New York, and then just binge watched like all of them. And then I did see the marked ones in theaters, and I realized since the interim between our last show, yeah, I saw the Ghost Dimension in theaters.
You've fucking seen all these things.
I told you earlier in the show I've seen them all, but I should have. But yeah, I hadn't realized last week I indeed did see the Ghost Dimension. I've seen them all, 3 of them in theaters out of the 6.
Now, how'd they get a video camera into the Ghost Dimension?
I'm not gonna spoil this for you, but I kind of want to right now. As I recall, this is 5-6 years ago. You know, the old noggin don't got the old memory bank so much no more.
Yeah.
With more withdrawals than there are deposits, but I believe. I can't wait till next week when we see if I'm right. I'm predicting. I seem to recollect that they fucking have a camera. Their premise is they have a camera that can see spectral ectoplasmic images only.
I want it to go into the dimension. I want it to be like the end of Poltergeist, though. Like when
it kind of does.
When the boy comes out of the ceiling, except instead of a boy, it'll be a video camera.
Yeah, I do believe that the technology used for Paranormal Activity, the Ghost Dimension, is a ghost dimensional camera. And
that's more innovative than the Microsoft Kinect, even.
Is it?
That's a good question. Yeah, love to see those two face off. So let's get into it. We get a previously on Paranormal Activity again, and then we cut to Henderson, Nevada, November 2011. And we've made some huge advancements in this film. We now have smartphones. We now have video chat, Skype, which was mind-blowing to me. And, of course, the Microsoft Kinect that I cannot get enough of talking about with its infradot device. So,
are they a sponsor this week? Is that what's going on?
I think they're a sponsor of the film. There are a lot of sponsors of this film, by the way. Did you catch any others?
No.
Here, the most amazing thing to me about this film, mind-blowing, is they set up the Microsoft Kinect and they say it's the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life, literally. The coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. But then I noticed all the laptops in this movie are Macs. What happened there?
Mm-hmm.
How
I don't know. Was Apple having a monopolistic trend going on the movies? That would be weird.
Okay, let me repeat again that Kinect device is by Microsoft, who is Apple's chief competitor.
That's correct, but you also said in the next very same sentence that they were all Macs, and what's the story with that?
What I'm saying is the two biggest pieces of product placement in the film are direct competitors of one another.
Yeah, okay.
That doesn't strike you as weird? It'd be like if you saw a fucking Marvel movie and like Thor was drinking a Coke and Iron Man was drinking a Pepsi. You'd be like, what the fuck's happening there?
Full disclosure, I zoned out on your main point. Totally missed it. So
then why are you coming back at me? If you miss something, just stay silent.
I thought you were making a point simply about Apple being promoted in the movie. Yeah. Look how mad he gets. Look at his fucking face. It's great. Okay.
Because you're wasting our listeners' times. Our listeners who are hanging on to my every word.
Yeah, I'm a listener. I'm highly entertained right now.
He has a very inflated sense of his time and his words
and my ratings on Letterboxd. All right, so let's meet our new characters. We've got a family, There's a mom and dad, and a lovely daughter played by the great Catherine Newton, big movie star these days. This is probably the first established star we've had in any of these fucking movies, and she got way bigger after this.
All for the first time in these movies. I mean, I skipped the second one, but it seemed like, these people actually look like actors.
Yeah.
Which at first I was like, I don't know, how is this going to go? Because they all look like actors as opposed to just looking very mundane. I
didn't think all of them did, though. I only really felt that way about the boyfriend and the girlfriend.
The dad, though?
The dad was an actor, and I got actor vibe from dad.
Yeah, I got hard actor vibes from the dad.
Yeah, he's dead now, by the way, 48 years old.
Yeah, do you know about that?
No.
The mom and dad in this movie were a husband and wife in real life. They were a husband and wife acting couple. And then he died, right after they made this movie. Before it even came out.
Oh.
I missed that they were married. Jesus Christ.
But isn't that fucked up? The last thing they ever acted in was together playing husband and wife. Oh. And then the woman doesn't have another credit after this.
I see that.
She could never bring herself to act again. I'm going to give her the credit that they never wanted to cast her or anything again. No, she couldn't bring herself. Great. It was too emotional.
God. That's I didn't know they were fucking married. I just knew he died right after the movie.
And they were, they were supposed to be arguing and maybe they'll divorce, but even then I didn't really see any chemistry between them.
Nah, there was no chemistry. The only good actor.
That's just because she's really bad. That woman is, I think she's the worst actor in any of these Paranormal Activity movies.
Well, I thought she was just adequate, fine, until that scene where she dies and she has to be scared for the first time. And I thought she was doing a fucking horrible job of being terrified in the living room there right before she died.
Yeah, it's laughable.
It was the worst that I've seen someone be scared in these movies.
In most movies.
I thought that the only real good performance truly was the one that you're talking about, Dan, the famous one now, I guess she is, the British one, who I didn't know was British. Yes, she is.
What?
Was that the daughter?
Yeah, just looked it up.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, Catherine Newton from London, England. Yeah.
I gotta say, I have seen her in probably 20 things. Really good accent. I have never once thought her slip.
Yeah.
No, I mean, her boyfriend's not a good actor, but he's got some moments where he's a believable. I
kind of disagree. I don't think he's bad.
He's adult, but I mean, he's all right.
He grew up.
Well, I want to talk about this Newton, though, because I like her in a lot of stuff. You can find her, of course, in *Halt and Catch Fire's last season as the daughter of of Scoot. And, I saw her in that Cock Blockers movie. I saw her in Big Little Lies as Reese Witherspoon's daughter. I saw her in Freaky, where she switched bodies with Vince Vaughn. And I think she's having herself a nice little career. She's going to be big, and she's on the verge of exploding. Because Marvel is starting to set up this Young Avengers thing. Young Avengers was a comic Marvel introduced in 2006 or something, and was instantly just the #1 comic in the world. It was huge. And they're starting to set that up in these TV shows and movies and shit. So they're introducing these characters. They're introducing the young Hawkeye in the new Hawkeye TV show, and in the next Ant-Man and Wasp movie, this Catherine Newton is going to play Cassie something? I forget her name. Cassie, and she's young Giant Man, basically. And I just think that role, she's really well cast for it, and I think she's gonna go nuclear from this role.
Wait, so she's young Giant Man, and that's Ant-Man, right?
Yeah. She's Cassie Lang is the character, so she's
right.
I mean,
for those of you who don't read the comics, Giant Man is Ant-Man, basically, right?
Yeah, she's Paul Rudd's daughter, I think. like
Okay.
a few years later from.
Oh, all right. Well, good for her then. I wonder if she'll talk like this for the first time and be like, "I'm giant lady. I'm the giant lady in the wasp." Or if she just sticks with her American accent.
I didn't want to talk. I liked it. I wanted to see how long you'd go for.
I want to record the new BFI theme because we don't get to play it no more. I'm Catherine Newton. That's my name. Come play with us.
I'm gonna step on a lorry.
I can pick up the tube and take you up to the Scotland Edinburgh area in half an hour. I'm Catherine Newton. You can call me Kate.
No, you can't. I think young Hawkeye's name is Kate.
I would love if she had that voice coming out of her beautiful face. That would be really wonderful.
I'm like Michael. I'm Catherine Newton.
I'll pick up the Millennium Wheel and fling it like a discus.
I'll see you, Galactus, at the Piccadilly Circus at 1 p.m. It's a showdown, mate. Hey, Paul Rudd, don't get in here, no daddies allowed.
Slipping the bass.
So, oh.
Ooh.
Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah, it's been a long time, man. It's been like a year
No,
and a half.
do it
maybe
as
3.
Cassie Lang.
If I to do it, I'm gonna do it like I'm slipping the bass to Galactus and Thanos. I'm gonna use his head like a bass drum, and I'm gonna slip the bass. Slip it, Paranormal Activity 4, to my virgin boyfriend Ben. By the way,
Is that his name, Ben?
Yeah, live like 10 miles out of Las Vegas. Nobody should be virgins, especially Ben at that point. They talk about how he's a virgin.
What
He's
are you
right
talking about? I think they're supposed to be like 15.
Yeah, isn't he like 15 or something? That's kind of what I was reading.
To him, you're a virgin too, and he's like, no, I've had like 3. He's obviously lying, but I'm just saying, if I was 16 at the time and lived outside. If I was 16 and I lived in Vegas,
I lived outside of Vegas. Like, that matters. I lived outside of Manhattan. I wasn't getting laid when I was 15.
Prostitution legal in Manhattan? I didn't know what it was.
I mean, I
It's a
could
good
have
thing you were
easily-
raised in Canada, Henry.
Yeah, it's true. They don't even. They show full vagina at strip clubs.
There's no nudity. They do. That's totally true. Jason, like, either confused or looking at something else on his screen with that. I love that. No, it was a Vegas joke. Don't worry about it. Okay, so
What?
do you want me to just do more Catherine?
Oh, I guess that is what I want, but I guess we should move forward.
As a Liverpudlian.
All right, so she is a delightful young lady and creeped out by her next door neighbor kid, and she's got a boyfriend who she never kisses in the movie because the actor was 21 at the time and she was only 15.
I did think that was a little odd. I thought it was like, they're not together, but it's pretty obvious they are together.
Yeah.
Okay. That fucking Hollywood. Just get a teenage kid, a boy.
Yeah, I don't know why they were so beholden to this fucking loser. I mean, who is he? Has he ever been in anything else? Because he strikes me as like they want him to be like a breakout character. Like he's got all the big punchlines in the movie. Wink. Oh, hey, Henry. Of course, we know this guy. You and I have, of course, seen him in something.
Okay. Oh, we saw him and obviously in I don't know what I saw him in.
He was in obviously season 2 of the Purge TV show.
Oh, I thought,
which we've both seen every episode of, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen all 10 seasons, but I just didn't. That wasn't what I was thinking of initially. I was thinking about his appearance in the MTV series, which I also watched, called Teen Wolf, which he is in, which we covered on our show during our coverage of the movie Teen Wolf.
We covered one episode. Hey, he's a regular on Winx Club.
I just said that.
I didn't hear you say he was a regular.
Attention, the listeners are hanging on my every word.
But I mean, so our old friend Winx Babbitt was a big friend of this guy. What, you don't want to talk about Winx Babbitt on the podcast?
You know why I don't want to talk about
why
Winx
not?
Babbitt.
Why?
You guys don't know what happened to Winx Babbitt? You don't remember that?
Maybe you should say it.
Okay. Like a few years ago, you don't remember this? He was mugged in Union Square Park and beaten to death.
I remembered.
You set me up for that? See if I'd say
I just wanted you to say it.
All right, well, I said it. It's horrible.
He was a customer at Barnes & Noble who's this real creepy guy who had tattoos of fairies on his arms and would come in and asking about Winx Club. And Henry wants me to act like his death was some kind of huge tragedy when he was obviously a child molester.
He was beaten by the parents of his victim.
Yeah, no. I just remember.
It's like it's the backstory of A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah. No, first of all, I forgot. Like, I had a total memory lapse that Jason wouldn't know who the fuck we're talking about, because that was way after.
Oh, that was after your time. Of course, you worked
Right.
at Barnes & Noble, but not for long in Union Square.
He worked at Barnes & Noble, and it was fun to work at Barnes & Noble. Dan and I got a text, I think, about it, because I was living down here, and it just said Winx Babbitt was murdered by a fucking, and I was just like, oh my god! And it was whoever
there was a Union Square puncher. This was like a thing at the time. It was like a menace where he was going around punching random people. And,
I don't do that.
Yeah, and he punched this Winx guy and killed him.
Oh,
it was a horrible thing. Anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean, I recall it being a horrible thing. I didn't really know we made jokes about Winx as being, as what you said, a molester. But
we didn't make jokes about him. But like, why? Like, he clearly was one.
Yeah, or an aspiring.
Yeah, that guy. Come on, man.
Yeah, he's got beaten in the head by the puncher.
The puncher. It's a good gimmick, man. If you're gonna be a menace on the streets, be a puncher.
I can't study any drugs tonight, man. Why not? Fucking puncher might be around.
Puncher's out.
Puncher's out. Look, the P in the sky. Does he do anything else? No, he just punches you, man, but you won't see it coming. It's tough.
Oh, shit, man. It's the punch signal. It's just a big spotlight in the sky with a fist.
Is he a vigilante? Does he go after, like, criminals? No, just anybody.
Yeah.
It could be any of us.
Yeah.
It's just random, He
Can I guess Dan's favorite part of this movie?
You already did.
I think everybody knows my favorite part of this movie.
There's one word.
Dragula! Dig through the ditches and burn through the witches and slam in the back of my Dragula! Amazing. Guys, Rob Zombie in this film, baby. You pieces of shit.
So funny because there's no music in any of these movies.
None. They never paid for a single song except for Dragula.
Except for Dragula.
And it's weirdly used too.
Right.
Like, it would be one thing if it was like some fucking metal teen coming out of his room and like Dracula was playing in the background or something. But it's not. It's like these two straight-laced white kids, and like they get like Katie from the first movie is like living across the street from them, right, with her creepy son who may or may not be the hunter that she stole from the last movie and from 2 movies ago. And so she goes to the hospital, or so we're told, and apparently the only people that can watch this kid are their neighbors, because that's a thing that's ever happened once in the history of time.
That was the hardest thing to believe in the entire movie.
And so it's like the first night with this new kid, and Catherine Newton and her elderly boyfriend, they're like trying to like impress these kids. And so he, of course, introduces them to the Microsoft Kinect, the coolest thing that you've ever seen in your life. And the first thing he does with it is launch a dance party. Now, it's 2012. What do you think he was listening to? Maybe put on Lady Gaga, who had released her seminal album, The Fame, by this point. Maybe Sia, who was really starting to hit big, writing songs for others, putting out her own singles, Chandelier and Titanium. No, it's Dragula by Rob Zombie.
These kids love Rob Zombie.
Let me tell you something, motherfuckers. That's the song you gonna play when there's a ghost on the premises. That's what you want to play. That piece of shit.
You want to dance to this song, you son of a bitch.
Fucking 3 from hell, motherfucker.
Shake that fucking pooper, man. Shake that tail feather. Rub that butt against this song. You know what to do.
All right. What, she's 15? What you trying to say?
15 will get you 20, man. That's not advice. That's just something I heard. All right. Next up, what do we got?
She was only 15 years old.
What is that?
Full circle joke. Michael Caine impression from The Trip. 15 years old, wrapped it around in a bow, sent it right to Brooklyn.
What mood are you in right now?
I have to urinate, so I'm trying to be
so bad.
Active as I can to not piss my pants.
All right, so like this goes on forever. The kid is continuously insanely creepy. Like night 1, he gets into bed with her and starts like spooning her. He starts telekineticing knives around like a weirdo. Like what is The Shadow with Alec Baldwin, R.I.P. his life. And what?
He's gonna be all right.
Alec Baldwin?
I mean, he'll be in a bar for the rest of his life down and at the corner, but get shots to expiate guilt. But,
you know what's wild is they clearly found a straw man to blame for the Alec Baldwin thing. Like there's an AD that had some complaints on previous projects.
Their complaint, yeah, I saw it today. They filed another complaint, and then on this movie, there were already complaints.
There were
about
walkouts, yeah. Okay, so they're clearly placing the. Well, I don't know. I just don't know what happened. We weren't there, but the second the internet hears anything, they immediately that's true. That guilty. So
I would.
I know nothing about this person. I'm not gonna call him a murderer right now.
No, but I think a million people were ready to call Alec Baldwin a murderer instantly.
Yeah, but that was stupid too.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I looked up this guy, like the AD. I was wondering what else he's worked on. Yeah. I found out something very peculiar on his IMDb page.
Was it a movie you covered on We Love Kids movies?
No, it was a movie we covered on The Franchise. On The Franchise. That's a show I host every week.
Okay.
And just in the public domain. Anyone can listen to it. And
I'll check it out.
Good. And he was an AD on the third Crow movie.
No fucking way.
I swear to you.
Whoa.
Man.
So if this guy doesn't know gun safety on sets, he certainly should have.
Well, he got the job. His dad worked on the first Crow movie, and he just
it's
nepotism, that's how it
It's
goes.
hereditary.
And his dad didn't survive, so he got to work on the sequel.
What is he, a fucking Catholic priest? He just gets shipped around from movie set to movie. God.
That is sort of what Hollywood is, isn't it? It's just,
Of course it is.
yeah, I
like
know.
what
It's just a heathen church.
Yeah, just one big papacy. They just send people elsewhere.
All right, so the parents are married. They're fighting the whole fucking movie. It's boring. At one point, they're having this weird fight. What was that fight about? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't
It
think
was
they
so
ever even
specific.
really tell you.
I think it was about the mom putting the daughter on birth control. Cause like
it was a sleeping pill, I thought.
Oh,
Which they're like, she hasn't slept in 2 days, but I was like, has that been established at all?
it was established. Yeah, I didn't remember. I forgot that. I just thought it was like a non sequitur conversation, and the first thing you hear is the dad going like, I can't believe you put her on those pills without my permission at her age. And I was like, what? Dad, calm down. I thought they were just like trying to give us like, these are the sorts of things they fight about.
I think another lesson to be learned here is in parenting and good parenting is that, you know, honestly, a lot of people's deaths could have been avoided if they would have just, like they always tell you, listen to your kids. She just wanted to talk to her parents and tell them what was going on here. And neither parent, unlike in other movies that we've covered in this series, at least one parent's listening. And here, nobody's
Not
listening.
true, though. The dad at one point said he was ready to listen, but it was too late.
Too late.
That's true.
After she gets asphyxiated by the car in the garage, you know.
That was
she's not
kind of an
sleep-
okay sequence.
That
That
was
was
a good
probably
scene,
the
I
best
thought.
scene in the movie. I mean, honestly, you know, maybe when she's crossing the street at the end, I thought that was kind of.
I don't know. At that point I just could not justify her holding that fucking camera.
I couldn't either. I had trouble with that, and that's an interesting point because throughout these movies, you constantly that might be one of the biggest issues with found footage films. It's like found footage horror movies, which is what most of them are, obviously. Holding the camera, and you have to get in the mindset of like, well, I wouldn't take the camera, but okay, we have to have visual here, we have to have perspective. But in this one, wow, it got to the point where I was like, what? Who is she even documenting this for now?
Right. Well, that's why the surveillance thing is so front and center in the first few movies. It justifies the cameras being there. This movie never really has that.
No,
like, there's really no fucking reason they're filming anything. And they keep coming up with bullshit justifications. Like, yeah, my laptop just films all my conversations. That's how laptops work. Yeah. And
his laptop had the same problem that he's saying, which is it records everything every time he has a conversation. Then you and I would have a much easier time recording.
I
these
wish I
podcasts.
had that problem. Yeah, my computer's the opposite. It doesn't want to record anything. I have to force it at all times.
Maybe this kid should start a podcast.
Honestly, he'd be pretty good.
He's dead.
Witty. Oh, you're right. He's dead. Well.
Yeah.
You know, Toby. You think Toby could have a podcast?
I mean,
Beyond the Grave?
It would be people speaking for Toby, though, on the podcast. It'd be like,
not necessarily. They could record it from the ghost dimension.
Oh, that's true. Record from the ghost dimension, and then you could have like the little midget woman saying like, "I think Toby said."
Excuse me.
Yeah, does not like that word. That is so far from correct nomenclature.
For
Who's that, Toby
heaven's
Hooper?
sake. Toby,
Henry, don't say midget, Henry. God.
It's a Betsy. All right. Yeah, I mean, they all die, right? Who cares?
Jason, come on. What's out here?
I'm surprised that you guys were so let down by this movie. I thought it was okay. It's not as good as the third one, but I was engaged.
I mean,
I thought the girl was like really like charismatic and interesting. I thought her boyfriend like kind of grew on me and made the movie a little more entertaining. The kids weren't so great. Those little kids could have been better.
They sucked compared to the two in the other one. I mean, these two kids were,
Yeah.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I think in as much as the movie worked, and it did somewhat for me, I was definitely engaged, especially considering it was a first-time viewing. I think it worked because of those two performers. Like, those two actors are front and center in this movie. I mean, it's a lot to put on this Catherine Newton. They said the actor was 15 at the time, and she carries this movie on her back. The movie does not work without her.
When they go away from her and they kind of go back to the mom and some other stuff, you're just like, it's kind of a slog.
Clearly, I wasn't even paying enough attention to know what was going on in that scene between the parents fighting.
When we said earlier on this episode and the prior episode that these are movies where you really have to pay attention, I thought we were just speaking about visually you have to be looking at the screen, but what I should have said was that if you're Dan, you also have to listen at certain points in the movie to dialogue that's being spoken.
True, and I don't always. Sometimes my mind
wanders. This movie was a big disappointment because I didn't recall thinking much negatively about it. I mean, as I said, I watched them all in a fucking row, but this time I was just like, "Woo, Nelly, this is just kind of a bore." And it was the first boring time, honestly, that I had in this franchise.
What do you give this?
And
one?
there was potential for them to do more too, because they had like the different use of technology with the laptops and the phones and stuff, but they didn't really take advantage of that and use it to show us.
They didn't even use it right though. Like, at least, the thing about these screen movies, like that movie Searching, where he's looking for his daughter, John Cho's looking for his daughter.
I've heard
so cleverly use things like Facebook and Skype and FaceTime and whatever. I can't remember. They use everything in that fucking movie. Tumblr's in that movie. And they use everything so cleverly and uniquely and realistically that it adds to the illusion of the movie. Whereas a lot of times in this, the filmmakers clearly don't understand the technology they're utilizing, and so I'm disengaged. If anything, it's hurting the illusion of the movie. There's stuff in this movie where she's like Skyping with her boyfriend and she can't see what's happening behind her. And no, if you're Skyping with somebody, see, I can see me. I'm a little box right there in the corner.
Yeah.
That's how Skype works. That's how Skype's always worked, as far as
she has no clue what's happening behind her, directly behind her.
Yeah.
Yes. You're right on that. Yeah. It's an odd usage of the medium of Skype, which we all know doesn't work, and from 5.5 years experience, and their connections are just great.
I think possession by a ghost would make Skype work better.
Maybe.
I'll try anything at this point.
What'd you just say, Jason?
I thought it had a weak ending as well, coming after like such a strong ending with 3.
Totally, and it just ends.
And they tried to replicate the ending of 3 a little bit.
Yeah, look, here's even more spooky people in a clump.
I know, yeah. It's not spooky when there's that many of them, by the way.
Yeah, because then you're just like, where the fuck did you guys come from?
Right. I mean, where are we? This is not just like, this is Coven Town all of a sudden. Every female is a witch.
Forget it, Jake. It's Coven Town.
It's gonna get away with it. Yeah, Coven Town.
What do you give this movie, Henry?
What do I give The Witches of Eastwick? I give that
a 4.
I don't know what I rated that. I give this movie a 2. It's not, by any means, it's not a piece of shit. It's just boring. It's a letdown.
Jason?
Yeah, agree. 2.
I was also gonna go 2. Look, we're in so much agreeance this week.
Wow. Yeah. There's an across the board approval of the rate. This is amazing. This doesn't happen.
Very seldom, Henry. Very, very seldom. All right. Who's your MVP?
Well, it's called Be Giant Man!
Yeah, I guess you got it. I agree.
Yeah. Not Big Ben, her boyfriend. I'm gonna pick Big Ben up and drink a pint of Guinness out of the clock.
Great character. British Giant Man is a great character.
It's a girl, so that's, you got to picture Catherine Newton saying those
I
words.
am.
Katie Newton.
Who's your LVP, guys? Wait, did you pick an MVP? You went with Newton also? Jason. Jason, sorry.
Me. Yeah, the daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Totally.
LVP, Henry.
Mom.
Going with mom. Jason?
It's the mom, 100%.
I'll go with the Microsoft Kinect for the Xbox 360. All right.
Yeah, that's so fascinating.
Honorable mention to Rob Zombie. All right. Next
book.
Oh, Burn Through the Witches?
Dig Through the Ditches. I don't actually know the lyrics to that song. Those are just how I've always sung it in my head.
Burn Through the Witches. I'm saying this. You got all the witches at the end. Maybe that's why they used the song.
Burn Through the Witches. But you know what? There needs to be a Dragula in these movies. If I'm not seeing... I better in the next movie see somebody driving some sort of cool hearse that's art designed to fuck.
Somebody slamming in the back of that Dragula.
Right in the back. Yeah, definitely in the back. I remember I had a Twisted Metal game and that song was in it. Like one of the levels, you'd just be playing it, dig through the ditch the whole time. Next week on the show, we're covering 3 more Paranormal Activity movies. I think these babies are on Paramount Plus at least for once. God damn it.
All 3 of them are?
I think so.
That'd be fucking nice.
Yeah.
Is that the end of it for you guys?
That's the end of it.
That's it. Yeah, and then I think we're maybe get into Twilight. So we've got...
Oh.
Well, I
That's
said
an
maybe.
off-air
I said
discussion.
maybe.
Okay.
So next week is Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, the film where they were trying to get their Latin audiences involved. Then Paranormal Activity, the Ghost Dimension, which we're very excited about. And then straight to Paramount Plus streaming Paranormal Activity, Next of Kin. From new director William Eubank. Now, wasn't he Jay Leno's band leader?
I thought he was.
That's Conan.
That's totally right.
That's Max Weinberg and the Max Weinberg 7.
That's a band right there. Right, William Eubank and Jay Leno. Well, didn't just Jay Leno just steal Conan's theme anyway? So there you go.
Yeah, he's hid in the closet and listened for it. Anyway, gang, so that'll be fun. Next week, 3 of these stupid fucking movies. And it'll just be Henry and I shooting the shit, as per usual. But in the meantime, I'd like to talk about a Patreon that I am subscribed to. I've talked enough about my own. So how about yours, Jason?
Yeah, well, I have a few shows on there. We Love Kids is one of my shows. I got
Yeah, we do We Love Kids movies here. Jason's is just We Love Kids. It's way creepier.
What's your name, Dennis? Yeah. You got compies, right?
I gotta order up. Yeah, I got all the goods.
You should order some shit up.
Surviving the Big Brothers thing.
Yeah.
Why don't you have a podcast on that Patreon?
I thought about doing a podcast. I really just don't think that I would be very good at it, so I'd like to spare.
You are good at it, though, but we have you on regularly because you're good at it.
Yeah, if you suck, you forget it.
Yes, I'm not hosting. You know what I mean? You're hosting. You really have to, there's a lot going on there.
I think you'd be good.
Trust me, there's not.
What do you know? So we've got... What? So talk about that. Talk about that.
I have a Patreon where it's what is it? patreon.com/public speaking. Is that how Patreon works?
Is it just straight up patreon.com/public speaking? Yeah.
Yeah, I got the one that public speaking. I didn't have to add anything to it, luckily. And so it's me and my music, and there's like blog posts and new songs and videos posted every month. I also, at the $5 level and up, if you sign up, I write a personalized song for you, which you fill out a little survey, and I write a fully produced song for you and send the file to you. And nobody else has to hear it. If you don't want, you can keep it completely to yourself. But I have also taken some of those songs with the listener's permission and used them in albums that I'm releasing. I'm about to release the second of those albums next week on Wednesday, November 3rd. It's called Songs Need Friends. That's kind of a sequel to Songs Need People, which was the first collection of these songs that work together.
Mine was bracingly intimate. I've listened to it so many times and cut my heart the first time I heard it, like in a good way.
Good.
Yeah. Me too. Mine was as well. Dan and I haven't heard each other's, and I don't think but
would
mine
you
was
play
also,
yours for me?
I have to think about it. It's you know what I'm talking about, Dan. They're really personal.
No, for sure. Yeah, especially because you do have to fill out like a pretty major like. Well, I gave them questions were good. It was actually fun to fill out.
Oh, yeah. Good. I'm glad. Yeah, it's interesting because some people who sign up for it, obviously, are people I know or my friends. Others are just fans who I've never met. So then I have to go completely by what they write down.
Right.
Like, whereas friends of mine, I might know a little bit, bit more about their lives that I can kind of work in there. But with some of the people, it's really I'm just going by what they have chosen to share with me. And sometimes it's not very much, and I just have to put a lot more of myself to the song.
Has anyone been bummed out by the result? Like, not
as far as I can
song?
tell, no, unless someone's being disingenuous. I mean, everybody has been like really positive, sometimes like profusely positive, and some people are really touched by them. So that's been a really nice thing to like a challenge to write a song for just one person, like an audience of one. Yeah. Originally, I didn't think these would be released for anyone else to hear. I just thought it would only be for that listener. But I was so happy
you're releasing them.
Share. So yeah,
it's such a fascinating artistic remit that
it is.
So
You're
interesting
right.
to hear. A variety of them.
Oh, good.
I think it's wild, man. It's really awesome, and I also wanted to see if you wanted to promote something else. I just saw it by accident today on the old Facebook. You wrote an essay. Is this correct?
I
featured in a book now.
I did an essay to this collection called "Medicine for a Nightmare," which is kind of a zine/book, like a collection of different contributors, artists, writers, photographers around the country that a couple friends of mine out in Portland, Oregon put together. And I wrote about my tinnitus, or some people call it tinnitus, which is a condition I have with my ears that got much worse at the beginning of last year. So it's kind of about that and me dealing with that as a musician and trying to figure out ways to keep, moving forward with that disorder. So, yeah, but Medicine for a Nightmare, really cool. They have a Bandcamp. You can order one of those books. I think they still have copies available that come with an instrumental soundtrack on a cassette that various musicians contributed to. So you can kind of like listen to this cassette and read through the book. I've been really enjoying it, and I haven't sat down and read it cover to cover yet. I've just been dipping in to like essays and photographs and other art in there here and there, like a coffee table type experience.
Yeah.
And I really like it.
Yeah, I saw the post and it looked like something wild, really cool, and so I just figured, hey.
Yeah. And I also wanted to promote the theme song to this episode.
Yeah.
So if you skip that, I would highly recommend going back and listening to that remix because it has a really creepy sound that I was able to pick up. It came through on a podcast I was listening to called The Franchise.
Yeah.
And there's this really bizarre sound that comes out of this man's face. I think it was inspired by Leonardo DiCaprio, or maybe it's the spirit of Leonardo DiCaprio that came through his body.
I don't know what you're referring to, but I'll have to go back and
it sounds intriguing.
So
yeah,
well, it's the right month for it. Oh my god! All right.
Yeah, that's right, everybody. You should be aware that this guest took my guitar riff and turned it into an orchestral, arranged, amazing theme song for the show that's been our theme for 4 years now. First premiered on the episode of Major League 2 and 3, Dan.
It's so crazy to think that we didn't have that theme song right from the start. I feel like we did, but you're right.
For a year, we would play just songs.
At first, we would have fucking nothing at the beginning. It would just like start and be like, "Hey, it's me, a loser," and then like I started playing random songs, and then we got the theme. Yeah.
Well, if you ever get sick of it, let me know, and I'll find a guitarist somewhere, probably in southern New Jersey or something, and I'll work with them to come up with something.
Let me know if you find a good one.
Yeah, let me know if you know somebody, Henry, down there.
Guys, what a pleasure this is, as always. Check out Jason's Instagram. He's got some sexy pictures of himself on there. And and Henry, you know where to find him in New Jersey. Just go looking around there. And for me, I do all those shows. We talked about them already. And
leave 5-star rating or review, folks. It's been over a month now. We can't keep depending on Evil Chris and Aussie Scott and the gang. We need. I want to hear from some of you folks who I know are listening in those Scandinavian countries, in Romania, over in Asia. You don't have to say anything. Just leave us a nice review with a star in it.